All right, y'all. So now let's move on to our final topic. And let's talk about Róisín Murphy. So yeah, Miss Thing is out here whining and complaining because she's been, you know, blacklisted over her controversial comments regarding puberty blockers on trans teens. She ain't the only one that was out here saying something dumb. I saw that there was a recent thing with Bill Maher talking about kids and transgenderism and all the other mess. He's talking about, well, yeah, we're gonna get JD Vance for president because this is your thought. I think it was David Cross was on his tight ass podcast and he was talking about trans kids on like how his children, I guess, have a friend who's trans, whatever, and then he starts with this bullshit. And I'm sitting there like, Bill, your smug, ugly ass. Number one, how you gonna speak on kids? You don't even like kids. You don't have any kids. So unless you have kids and you've been around kids, you understand trans children and this, that, and the other. Stop talking about it. Number two, the only way we're getting JD Vance as president is if Trump passes away. Nobody's gonna vote for that asshole blank slate of nothing because there's literally nothing behind those eyes or even in that he doesn't have a soul. Nobody's voting for JD Vance as president. He's immensely unpopular. So, Bill, you're an idiot. And who doesn't know what he's talking about? And then went on this little rant about, well, I mean, because cancellation, and it does relate to this, because he was saying, like, oh, he's kind of been canceled, whatever the case is, because he hasn't won an Emmy and he's deserved Emmys. I'm like, what any kind of work have you done on real time, even politically incorrect, that you deserve a damn Emmy? I'll wait, because none of the work you're doing is worth any of the shoe polish I would put on my damn shoe. So I don't know what the hell he talking about. But in this whole situation, here we go with another damn snowflake who says something incorrect and ignorant about trans kids, and now is up in here whining because they said they feel like they've been canceled. Which is like nobody put a gun to your head and told you to say what you said, but you said what you said, and what you said was some bullshit. And now what you need to do is sit with what you said and deal with the consequences. So this will be the second time that the Blessed Madonna had to go in and let have. The Blessed Madonna, for those who don't know who she is, she's a very popular, I believe she's a lesbian, but she's also a very popular DJ and producer. So let's get into the story. So Irish singer, songwriter, and producer Róisín Murphy has opened up about the fallout from her controversial comments on puberty blockers, saying the backlash left her feeling professionally and personally isolated. But before she stood 10 toes down on what she said, she didn't care about the backlash and the outcome, which we knew was some bullshit because eventually, when it continues to fuck up your bag, then you want to backpedal. Now, speaking at a Westminster event on Monday, that'd be April 27th, she described how quickly opportunities disappeared after her 2023 remarks, claiming venues dropping bookings, collaborators distancing themselves, and pressure mounted on for her to apologize. As she said, being canceled is hard. She said, the world goes very dark very quickly. Everyone and anyone who is ever going to disappoint you does so all at once. Networks of interwoven friendships and careers that took years to grow collapse overnight. All the hypocrisy, frailty, and hidden disloyalty gets exposed at once. It's bewildering and it's a bitter pill. So now she's sitting there talking about that everybody who decided to go against what she said about trans children and puberty blockers, she's calling all of y'all hypocrites because y'all decided to abandon her over her ignorant comments. But sis, you're jumping into a genre of music that is predominantly supported by queer people. When you're a dance artist who does all this performance art shit with the crazy outfits and stuff, which Gaga is very similar to how she dresses with the big crazy hats and all the other crazy outfits that Róisín is known for. And Róisín did do a lot of avant-garde type of electronic music, which is what we loved her for. But it also comes to show that maybe you were just trying to pander to this genre of people for a coin. Was you really about that life? That's to be determined. Because we know when she originally came from this trip hop group called Maloko. That's where I knew her from before she went solo. Look, I know my music, especially when I tell you I'm a house head. So that whole genre of music, I know where all the I know all the backgrounds and all other stuff. So I am a Róisín fan. Well, I was, because now when her music does come on my Apple Music when I'm listening to my, dance music or whatever the case is, and Overpowered comes on every now and then. I can't listen to the song. I skip right on. I can't listen to her no more because of this whole situation. So yeah, her opinions about a community that I'm a part of, even though there be a lot of you faggots that like to omit the T from the LGBT, I can't listen to her music the same way anymore. Now, she argued that artists who speak on radioactive issues are often met with condemnation rather than debate, and criticized what she described as online social media enforcers shaping public relations. Well, here's the thing: people try to have an honest, debatable conversation with you, and you stood 10 toes down in your ignorance. And to me, I'm always willing when somebody says something wrong to be like, no, that's not what this is, and present you with the facts. But you kept coming in with your bullshit. And if you're going to come in with that, then there's no talking to you. I'm not talking to a brick wall. I'm not going to constantly be hitting the brick wall to get through to you because you feel like you deserve transparency, which everybody does. But if you're not willing to listen and learn, then I ain't got time to be sitting up here dealing with your shit. I'm done. Like, gone are the days that I'm gonna sit here and coddle and baby ignorant ass people. MAGA done fucked that up with this whole situation where y'all don't want to sit and listen because it's easy to just wallow in your ignorance and say the dumbest shit and think that it's just okay to say it. You have the right to say your ignorant stuff, but I also have the right to call you out on the ignorant things that you say and correct you on your ignorance. You're not beyond reproach. Nobody is. So Murphy first, as you know, sparked backlash after criticizing the use of puberty blockers on young people in a 2023 Facebook post, saying puberty blockers are fucking absolutely desolate. Big Pharma laughing all the way to the bank. Little mixed up kids are vulnerable and need to be protected. That's just true. Because that was the same thing David Cross was talking about. It's like, um, when Bill Maher was trying to present this whole thing of like kids don't know who they are, kids don't know how they whether or not they're trans at this age or whatever the case is. But he's like, but you knew that you like girls at a certain age, and then he goes, but that's different. But how is that different though? You identify as a heterosexual male. You already know that I'm a boy. I have a dick. I know that what I am is who I am. I don't want to change a part of who I am, and I like this gender. Same thing with gays. Gays wake up, they know they was attracted to a boy, don't have a phrase or something going on. But I say with my generation, now there's social media and all this other stuff, they're aware of all the things. And then he was just trying to go in on David Cross and was saying, like, well, like in a way, making parents feel like they shouldn't be honoring and respecting how their kids want to identify. And he's saying that no, that's what they're doing. Is like if a child wants to, at this point, identify as a girl or wants to play with a doll or whatever the case is, why not respect that? Toys are toys. So you thinking that a boy automatically should play with Transformers and GI Joes? Well, you're just gonna make a mess out of him. Play with my sister's Barbies, and I played with Transformers and the He-Man and had the Castle Grayskull and all that stuff. I play with all the toys, and yeah, I used to beat up my sister's dolls and throw them out the window and do all that stuff when I was a kid. I did all the boy thing, but I like playing with my sister's dolls as well. And I used to get lashings on it, not beat, but like verbal lashings was like, boys are not supposed to play with that stuff. And then that automatically indoctrinates in your head that playing with anything feminine is wrong. That boys are supposed to just stick with this and girls are supposed to do this, and you're putting rules on things. There shouldn't be rules in regards of people trying to figure out who they are and just toys. They're toys. The fuck? So I don't understand people sometimes. But now she's trying to say, like, yeah, big pharma, they're taking advantage of the kids because all y'all doing is sitting there putting their kids on all these drugs. Big pharma's making all this money, and your kids don't know who the hell they are, and you shouldn't be honoring puberty blockers. But my thing is, y'all want y'all daughters to be out here looking like and sounding like Caitlyn Jenner, where they 70 some years old when they transition and got a whole man voice. You want to nip that in the bud early so that way they're not developing all the boy stuff where you got to spend more money on trying to correct that. what it comes down to eventually down the line if you want to do the bottom surgery. Because people automatically think when you trans, snip, snip on the dick or whatever. Why is that automatically the thing y'all want to run to? Gender reassignment is the last choice that trans people make. At first, you got to deal with up here before you start working down here. I've been around enough trans people and working with trans people at ACQC in Queens when it was dealing with people who are affected and infected with HIV and AIDS. We also had different things that was going on. We had groups for the homosexuals, and we had trans groups. We had all kinds of stuff. So working with different people, a part of the LGBTQIA plus community, you get these type of educations. And I just wish that people would educate themselves on these type of matters before they run off and start saying a whole bunch of bullshit on social media, like she did, and then got mad because people decided they wanted to distance themselves from her. So, and then again, she went on, they said last October reignited the controversy by sharing a chart showcasing data from Tufts University Cooperative Election Study, which portrayed a decline of young people identifying as non binary or trans, saying it was never real. Terribly sad, though. Absolute havoc wreaked on children, families, and society. And of course, what she didn't want to point out was that a lot of this was happening because, well, one, in America, you're dealing with the Trump administration who has decided to go and make cracking down on trans people or people who identify as part of the trans or non-binary community a top priority. They were also trying to emulate a lot of those things over there in the UK. So she's not going to tell you that part, but she's going to show you a chart and a poll, because the only poll I believe in is the one strippers like to slide up and down on. I don't sit them and go by a bunch of damn polls on no damn social media, because a lot of the data is flawed. And you're not, and who are these people that they're polling? So they don't be polling me. And I be seeing all kinds of polls that be going on in the United States of America. They ain't never polled my ass. So what poll you told? So because it fits your narrative, this is what she's gonna go on. So this is literally like I said before. You're trying to have this debate. She's standing 10 toes down on the bullshit and trying to push propaganda that is not accurate. So yes, the reason why that the numbers are going down, you're saying that trans isn't real, when I know plenty of trans people. I've been around. I'm around a lot of trans. I work with somebody who's trans, and there's somebody also. There's another person I've seen that walks around. I don't know what that, well, how they identify. Maybe non-binary, but it's a person that literally looks physically like a boy, but he wears his heels. He wears the dress. He wears all of that, earrings and everything, but giving you boy. But I'm like, and we're respectful of who we see in these situations. So that's the good thing about New York. We are accepting of all types of people here. Yeah, you have your ignorant people, but for the most part, we respect people here. Well, I do. Now, of course, I had to lay all that down because I know it was a lot, and I'm always going to have something to say in regards to this. But now we can get to the part about the blessed Madonna that had to drag her ass yet again. So now it didn't take long for queer DJ and producer to bless Madonna to publicly call out Róisín Murphy after the singer described herself as being canceled over her past comments about transgender people. Ooh, excuse me. So now they said, okay, so we don't need to go into the whole Westminster event because we already addressed that already. Let's just get to what the blessed Madonna had to say. So now the DJ also highlighted the disconnect between um Murphy's past ties to queer culture and her current rhetoric, referencing Murphy's admiration for 1990s ballroom documentary, Paris is Burning, while the Blessed Madonna noted Murphy had called a deeply formative creative influence for herself. Now, the Blessed Madonna continued with, "You said once in an interview that anytime you want to feel famous, you just go to a gay club. This, in and of itself, should have been a warning flare that your relationship with the queer community was less like an icon and more like a mosquito." So what she basically is saying is that you just wanted, to get some kind of credibility or some clout or whatever the case is. You decided to just jump into the whole gay bandwagon just so that way that you can get some kind of money, success, fame, and glamour. But now that you've already pissed off the one demographic that was actually supporting your dumb ass, now you want to be out here whining and crying and talking about how you being You've been ostracized by the community. Well, sis, you made your bed, now lie in it. If you're gonna go and harass and throw shade at the queer community, you don't deserve none of our coins. And I wish there would be more of us like that, where we're not just gonna sit up here and tolerate people like her for just jumping in our situation for a sense of clout, but don't really be out here for us. Because how long we've been saying this for years, that we continue to support these so-called allies, but they don't really be seeing it for us at the end of the day. If you pay real close attention, they will show you their true damn colors. And Miss Róisín, her Irish ass showed all of her colors. And you know, as pale as she is, that ass is red and is going to continue to get that lashing until she learned to truly apologize for the ignorant bullshit that she's saying. Instead, she want to be out here like a goddamn Karen and whine and cry that she's just been blacklisted by the only community that was supporting her. So I don't know what you need to do. Sell off your shit or go get a job as a receptionist somewhere. Because the music career ain't nobody checking for your ass no more, especially the faggots. So let me say, I want to hear from you in regards to what you got to say on this. Let me know what your thoughts are on this story in the comments down below.